When you're living in emergency mode, you have to keep all of your attention on the external environment. Would you agree? Because you have to take care of your body. It's a threat. You're in survival. You have to be aware of the conditions in your environment. You got to take care of your body, and you have a limited amount of time to do that. So then you begin to define yourself as a body in the environment in time, and you feel separate from possibility because you're more particle than wave. You're more matter than energy. And the hormones of stress cause us to become more dense. And so when we're more matter and we're trying to change matter, we only have a limited amount of choices to do that. So we use our ego and our personality to try to get what we want in life, and we compete and we force and we try to make things happen. Or we hold on or we manipulate to try to get what we want. Sound familiar? Because that's what's a body trying to change something that's vibrating at the same speed. Does that make sense? Now, did you ever notice when you're totally in a state of creation that you are so involved with what you're doing that you forget about yourself? You ever notice that? You're so present in the moment, so present with what you're doing, that you lose track of time and space. You become nobody. You become no one. You become no thing. You become nowhere, no place, no time. You become pure consciousness in that moment. Did you ever notice that? And when we were doing our research this past year, when I was watching these real-time meditations in the brain scan, I realized that if you're going to change yourself, you want to change something about your body, something in your environment, some future time, that you have to forget about your body. You have to forget about your problems. You have to forget about time in order to have dominion on it. You have to become a thought impossibility. You with me? Now, we have all the biological and neurological machinery to do this. Because of the size of the frontal lobe, remember, 40% of your entire brain. Chimpanzees and gibbons, 14 to 17%. Dogs, about 7%. You cat lovers, 3.5%. That's it. So if your cat's smarter than you, you're in trouble. So what separates us as human beings from all other species is not the fact that we have opposing thumbs, or we stand on 2 feet, or we have little body hair, or that our eyes point straight ahead, or we have big brains. Elephants have bigger brains than us. What makes us so unique is the proportion of the frontal lobe to the rest of the brain. And that forebrain, the latest piece of neurological machinery, is the volume control. It's where we can become so involved with a thought that the frontal lobe, like a great symphony leader, quiets down the circuits in the brain that process time and space. So when you're so present with what you're doing or thinking about, your frontal lobe doesn't want to be distracted by any extraneous stimuli. So when you're truly paying attention, the frontal lobe lowers the volume to the circuits in your brain where you feel your body. And if there's no brain activity where you feel your body, then there is no body, because there's no mind to process your body. And it quiets the circuits down in the motor centers of your brain. And when there's no brain activity in your motor centers, you become still. And it quiets down the circuits in the parietal lobe where you process linear time and your association between your body and your environment. And all of a sudden, there is no time. And it cools off the circuits in your temporal lobe, where your identity exists, the people you know, the problems you have, the places you live, the things you own. All the circuits quiet down in that area, so all of a sudden you become no one. And it cools off the emotional centers in the limbic brain. And the moment that happens, the thought that you're thinking literally becomes the experience in your mind. And the brain captures a thought as the experience, because in that moment you become pure consciousness, and the brain traps it or captures it and begins to rewire the brain, because the experience is as real as anything else. How many people are with me? And now you do this all the time. The brain naturally pauses to create. You ever notice, like you're driving down the freeway and you just drove 50 miles and You didn't feel your body. As a matter of fact, you didn't even see the road. And you lost track of time. Where were you? Well, the picture screen in your inner world became more real than your outer world. And that's the exact state we use to create. But instead of focusing on your problems and thinking about them to reaffirm the emotion that goes along with them, we are going to focus on possibility. How many people understand that? So you already know how to do this. So then, when you're living in that state of creation, and you become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time, you're no longer a male, you're no longer a female, you're no longer a nurse, you're no longer an attorney, you're no longer a mother, you're no longer a person with a disease, you're no longer your past, you're no longer, your face, your wardrobe, your car you drive, the house you live in. You're none of that. You're pure consciousness. And only when you're pure consciousness, that is the moment you walk through the door to the quantum field. You cannot walk through the door to the quantum field as a somebody. You got to walk through as a nobody. You got to go from ego-centered to egoless. And when we did our research and I was observing and observing and observing, the moment I saw people become pure consciousness is the moment they had dominion over their brain. They could change their body. They could change something in their life. They could create some future time. So the irony is that if you want to change your body, you have to get beyond your body. If you want to change your identity, you have to get beyond your identity. If you want to change some problem in your life, you have to get beyond the thought equal to that environment. If you want to change and create some future time, you have to get beyond time. If you want to create something out of nowhere, you have to get to nowhere. How many people are with me? Now, when you are no longer thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking in the same cycle, and you're no longer endorsing these hormones of stress, and you become pure consciousness, the energy that exists in these lower centers moves because it's no longer being reinforced. And guess where it goes? Right to your heart. And you begin to fall in love with your creation. And you want the moment to last. You don't want it to end because you are so present in the moment that the body literally is believing that the experience is happening. And if the thought becomes the experience, the end product of the experience is an emotion. And you begin to feel like the event is occurring, and now you're thinking and feeling differently, and now you're, instead of being in the past, you're in the future, and all of a sudden you're taking your attention off the particle, feeling separate from possibility, and now you're putting your attention on the wave of possibility, and you feel connected to something greater, and all of a sudden you trust in the outcome. You have no idea how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but you don't need to, because it's already happened to you. How many people are with me? And nobody can talk you out of that. And I call that the natural state of being. Because when you are trusting in the outcome, you have to lay down the very thing you used your whole life to get what you want for something greater to occur. Now that is when you are bridging on divinity. So then, if you live in a state of creation every single day, driven by the hormones of stress, and you're addicted to those emotions, then you will be matter trying to change matter, and you'll have limited resources to do that, because the brain and body are in the past. Would you agree? But if every day you put your body away for a period of time, you're no longer being defined by your body. You close your eyes and limit the amount of sensory information coming into your brain. You play soft music in the background or put earplugs in. You are eliminating your external environment, and you are getting beyond time every single day. The thing that I learned it this year. The key is to get beyond ourselves. You are the best when you're beyond yourself. And when we saw this in our workshops, when people got beyond themselves, the self that's defined by the past, they do the miraculous. And you know what? They don't even care if it happens. They're just happy that they're beyond themselves. And that's the moment it occurs. How many people understand? Turn the person next to you and explain, and then we'll break. Would you agree with me? Would you agree with me that if you get up from your meditation as the same person who sat down, nothing happened? Come on. Would you agree? Nothing happened in the quantum field. Nothing happened neurologically, chemically, genetically. You didn't signal any new genes. You didn't change your state of being. You got up as the same person. And then if you get up as the same person and you react to the same conditions in your life with the same hardware in your brain and emotional patterns in your body, then for the most part you'll go unconscious in a matter of seconds. Would you agree? Yeah. We're going to talk about that after lunch. So then, to get up differently than when you sat down means that you were moving from your past to your future. Would you agree? And if you got up feeling differently than when you sat down then, you are in a new state of being. Would you agree? Yes. Now that's not the end, that's the beginning. The purpose of meditation is to change your state of being. It is to condition your brain and body into a new state of being and then get up and maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day. And be challenged by the adversity in your life, but you are now meeting your life from a new level of mind. And I can tell you from experience that people that have created miracles in their life, healed themselves of genetic conditions. Remember I talked about them last night? You know what they say? I want the next challenge. Come on, I want to be tested. They understand that their life is their initiation. They're ready for the next challenge. They're not shrinking from reality. They're not protecting themselves from the worst case scenario and being prepared in case it happens because they're trying to predict their future based on their past. They're outside of that. The door is open to possibility. How many people are with me? Now, wouldn't that be a fun way to live? So then you would agree with me then the emotions of fear, the emotions of hostility and anger, the emotions of sadness and shame and guilt are experiences that you've already had. Yes? And so then, if you're reacting to your life in the same way and your life is bombarding you, your environment is washing you, then for the most part then, those emotions then will keep driving the same thoughts and behaviors in the same way. You agree with that too, yes? Yes. Come on. Yes. So then if you're creating, though, then you're installing new circuits in your brain, and you are emotionally conditioning your body to a new mind, and you're getting up, maintaining that modified state of mind and body your entire day, which means you're broadcasting a whole new electromagnetic signature. And people come up to you and they say, did you shave your mustache? No, I never had a mustache. Really? Really? Did you lose any weight? No. No, really? Wow. Did you get a little work done? No. Man, you look differently because you've changed your energy. So then when you walk into your life with an elevated level of energy, now your environment is no longer bringing you down to matter. You're lifting everything up in your environment to energy. How many people are with me? And in our clinic in the United States, when I walk into my clinic, which is rare, but when I go in there, I always tell the girls the same thing. I say, our energy has to be higher than the highest patient that walks through this door because everybody gets well today. And we are going to lift matter to a new mind. So then, when you walk into your life and you're broadcasting a new signature, you are saying to the field, this is what I'm worthy of receiving. This is what I am, this is my new state of being. And organize the events in a way that surprised me. And you are no longer observing your life as a quantum observer from the same level of mind. You're observing your life from the same level of mind when you get up and you do the same routine things every day to reaffirm that feeling called you. So then you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you got to get in touch with that feeling. Oh my gosh, I got these problems. Oh, I have this past. Oh, and that person is the real problem in my life. And then all of a sudden you get all of that going. We all do this. And then all of a sudden, once you get all that hardware and chemicals going, then you function from that identity. You with me? Yep. So then if the emotion is the payoff from all the things you want in your life, then it should be a good indicator of how to create. Would you agree? Now, people say to me, well, I want wealth. And I say, really? Why do you want wealth? And they say, because I really want to be free. Oh, so you want freedom. So then, if you're creating wealth, you can't get up from your meditation until you feel free. Because if you're getting up from your meditation and you feel lack, you didn't do it. Would you agree? But if you got up and you felt free because you understand that's the emotional payoff, but you're giving your body a taste of the future before it's happened, sooner or later, you're going to knock on the door long enough and you're going to condition your body to the mind of that state. And all of a sudden, the opportunity is going to show up in your life and you're going to say what everybody else says. Boy, that was really simple. Wow, I didn't even care if it happened, or I wasn't even expecting it, and it just appeared. And so we get so many emails. Oh, this project I was working on, or this opportunity I was working on, for this thing I was trying to create for years. And it wasn't happening. All of a sudden, I just did my meditation for 2 weeks, and it happened better than I ever expected. Because they got out of the way. They moved into a new state of being, and that field that organizes the events is waiting for you to get out of the way to tickle you with a surprise. How many people are with me? So here's the question. Is it worth doing? I'll see you in 10 minutes.